are joining Children of the Watch for a very special Super Bowl edition live stream. We have gathered to discuss the Mandalorian and Grogu Super Bowl ad that we got. So welcome. Alex, how you feeling?
Okay. Okay, so obviously this was not what we were expecting at all.
Right.
We were expecting a full-length trailer.
Maybe a 30-second
Sure.
new footage spot that actually plays as an ad, and then trailer kind of coming online simultaneously. Yeah. Maybe that's what's been done in the past occasionally. But no, we got this is it's genuinely just a nice, fun, cute ad spot for the movie.
Right.
And that's all it needed to be for the Super Bowl, to be clear. We as Star Wars fans who are clamoring to learn as much as we can about this movie, of course we were maybe hoping we'd get some plot details, some things like that. But I do think just from the immediate online buzz and everything, I do think it's working as an ad spot, particularly for the general audience who they're not necessarily looking for plot details to speculate about anyway and all of that kind of stuff. So
not yet, not yet. Like that will be closer to March and April that I think you really got to start turning the heat up on that for a general audience. Now, for us, we've been clamoring for this ever since they announced that this movie was going to be made. We've been wondering, okay, what's it going to be about? What is this movie actually going to be? Who's the villain? What's the plot? We want to know all of those things, but that's us, right?
Yeah. And
we're
again,
a podcast
that's
called
because
Children of the Watch. You're right.
Yeah, it's because we're excited about the movie. We want to know. We want to know. The ad spot in and of itself, I think if you just take it as what it is, it's a really good spot.
Absolutely.
Sam Elliott really took me by surprise at first. I was like, oh, okay, we're really leaning into like a Western voiceover. I was like, is this a picante sauce commercial? It's kind of what it. But then as the spot goes on, you kind of start to get the picture, and it's a homage to the old the Clydesdale commercial, Budweiser, and all that kind of stuff. Which that's a Super Bowl kind of institution, and I think the strategy is smart when you consider what this movie is. The Mandalorian is a love letter to everything kind of original trilogy, I think, and while bridging the gap to the sequel trilogy and all of that. But it is a show that it trades in nostalgia pretty heavily. So to pair that in the marketing strategy, I think that is a smart move.
Yeah. It's, again, like what you said, this was for a general audience to alert them Star Wars movies coming out in May. And I think it nailed it with that of like you said, classic Super Bowl type commercial with the Clydesdales. Obviously, it's a spoof of that. This was directed by Jon Favreau, this 30-second spot. This is not going to be in the movie. Like this, this scene is not in the movie.
This is something they just did like when they had time on a day they finished early or something. It's not
or maybe even just like last week. Who knows?
Right, you never know. I'm sure it is not like Pedro in the suit for this one and that kind of thing. But But
how about so let's do this because we can spend a lot of time talking about the marketing strategy for this movie, and there's plenty of room for that conversation, I think, especially with this trailer or this TV spot, and like a lot of people were expecting a full-length trailer. And again, I want to clarify, I do think that's coming very soon. I think we're going to see that really, really soon. If you were clamoring for it, I know we were. Man, I want to see more, and I want this movie to succeed like no other Star Wars movie succeeds. But we just got to be a little bit more patient for a full-length trailer that gives us some story beats. But what I want to do is let's kind of focus on what this TV spot actually is. Let's kind of just examine what's going on in it. I know that there's it's not actually in the movie, but there are some things I think that we can pull from this TV spot that actually do apply to the movie when you put it together with other information that we already know about the movie.
For sure, particularly about location, I think.
Exactly.
I think that's, location, as they say.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So obviously, it starts off on a very wintry, icy planet, and we get Sam Elliott narrating. I don't have the text of what he said in front of me. I don't know if it actually really matters what he said.
It's about vibes. It's just talking about
Right.
being moved by an unseen force, and then it's vibes. It's not important, I don't think.
No, it's not important. Though he did say something towards the end of what he was saying that made me go, because it's like he said something about like it's they're going to break apart or something like that. To me, that kind of stood out. I was like, I might need to go back and check the text on that. But anyways, I think you're totally right. It's about vibes. It's more about like tricking you into thinking this is a Budweiser commercial, right?
Yeah.
But you immediately you see, number one, puppet tauntauns. These are puppets, by the way, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And you can see this now, and immediately I was like, this is the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
And it's like a wagon, an old West wagon being pulled across the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
And you see these 4 or 6 tauntauns pulling Grogu and the Mandalorian across this icy planet. But here's the thing. Back when the first teaser dropped in September, we had this conversation on the podcast of, okay, they're on an icy planet. And we knew that from Star Wars Celebration. There's some footage that came out from Star Wars Celebration that we may or may not have seen on a cell phone. Who knows? Nobody can say.
We can neither confirm nor deny.
We can't. I plead the fifth on that one. So we knew that there was an icy planet. Like there's like a lot of the plot, I think, revolves around an icy planet. And honestly, I'm feeling like it's going to be Act 3 that the icy planet is on. That's the one we see the AT-ATs marching up a mountain. He destroys one, it falls off. Yeah. There's several AT-ATs. One of the questions that nobody is asking is, where are those AT-ATs going? Those AT-ATs going up the mountain? That's a very important question to me.
Right, because it's not like the Empire was ever based on Hoth. There's no, it would have had to been something like they took over Echo Base and occupied it after the rebels had already evacuated or something like that. It could be a weird forgotten Imperial laboratory for some reason. That's kind of in on trend with the rest of the Mandalorian and Grogu, I think.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll get to it. But okay, so you put that information. Okay, we'll put that information on the shelf. They're on an icy planet. Yeah. AT-ATs. Okay, that's going to be in the movie. Then you put together the information about Smuggler's Run, the new version of Smuggler's Run at Disneyland and Disney World, opening the same day. Now, there's a reason, Mac, that is opening the same day and not before the movie comes out. It's because the story that you take place going through Smuggler's Run at Disney World is part of the movie. Like it's going to be like adjacent to the movie. Like what you're doing in the Millennium Falcon is while the movie is going on. And so obviously they can't spoil those things. But here's what's really important about that information. The places that you can go in that Smuggler's Run ride are the Death Star ruins, number 1.
Yeah.
Cloud City.
Yeah.
And Tatooine.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tatooine makes a lot of sense for what we know about the underworld side of this story of, okay, Rada the Hutt is involved. That's Jabba's old stomping grounds. I think there's
a way to get Boba potentially involved in the narrative again. Yeah, we've been doing our, we've concluded our Book of Boba Fett rewatch. We've done that portion of the Mandalorian rewatch, and that's a huge question just because now it's fresh on my mind is like, what's going to happen with those story threads, Right.
Well, part of the concept art for Smuggler's Run had the Jawa sandcrawler, and I think it was specifically the sandcrawler with the crate dragon head on the front of it.
Yeah.
So like they're riding around like they're in a little gang or something, which
Mad
is really
Max.
cool. Yeah, Mad Max
sandcrawler. Yeah.
And they're just playing the guitar, fire shooting out of it on top of the sandcrawler.
Can we just talk about? There's nothing cooler that humanity has ever conceptualized than that dude in Fury Road, who's just suspended in midair, shredding a guitar that's spewing flames out of it. Like, we peaked. It's done.
You're right, but I think we could go a step higher if it was a Jawa doing it.
That would maybe raise the bar again.
Yeah. So, okay, that information, Tatooine, something to do with Underworld. Okay, but it's an original trilogy spot. Number one. Mm-hmm. The next one is the Cloud City, right? Yep. So you got one spot from A New Hope. You got one spot from Empire Strikes Back, and it's Cloud City. And then you got another spot that's over Endor, and it's the wreckage of the Death Star. Okay? Yeah. And then if these are Tauntauns, and we're supposed to believe, okay, maybe this is the same ice planet, even though this Super Bowl spot clearly not going to be in the movie.
Right.
But there could be a clue here in terms of the Tauntauns of that could be confirmation that they're on Hoth.
We're going to Hoth, Alex.
For the icy planet, right?
We're not. We're going to Hoth. This is the Mandalorian we're talking about. Like, I do really think it's going to be this kind of original trilogy, globe-hopping tour of locations. I still think there could be something like the idea of almost these, like, where these big events that are important to the Force have happened, maybe some like residual energies are hanging out.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
That's super esoteric. I don't know how exactly it'll work, but something like that.
Yeah.
The Jedi Academy video game has really gotten that in my head, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that would be cool. It is I do want new material, new adventures, new locations, all that kind of stuff. And I think we'll see some new things in this movie. I don't think it's like we're only going to go places that we've been.
Oh, for sure.
But I think, you know, because the spot itself is catering to nostalgia, I think this is safe to confirm as Hoth. Yeah, it's going to be like an original trilogy tour. And the only thing that could get them doing that specific like sequence of locations is something having to do with what already happened there, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Residual Force energies is what I'm going with right now.
Well, I mean, it would have to be something along those lines, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, but it's certainly interesting that it seems like it's all of these original trilogy spots and maybe a set piece or like an entire act taking place on what looks to be Hoth.
Yeah.
To me, so what we speculated back in September of like, okay, if this is Hoth, if this is actually Hoth, what does that mean? Well, we had talked about, okay, obviously that big crossover event that they are working towards, whether it's going to be a movie or it's going to end in a miniseries, regardless, it's going to happen.
Yep.
We know it's going to be like an adaptation of the Thrawn trilogy and call it Heir to the Empire, right? Like it's
for simplicity's sake, I think that's an easy way to organize it. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. So one of the biggest aspects of the original Thrawn trilogy, especially the second book, was this hidden fleet that got lost before the Clone Wars called the Katana Fleet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, what if it's something similar to that? What if the Rebels had information about the Katana Fleet, and maybe they left it on Hoth in the hurry of the evacuation? An intern left it at the base and did not get it, and that information gets out. Maybe the Hutts knew about this. Maybe like someone in the underworld knew about this, and now it's a race to get to that information because that information leads either to like a Katana Fleet or a super weapon of some kind. It might not be a fleet of ships. It could be a super weapon of some sort. I'm kind of expecting something along those lines, and maybe that information is seated at all of these places that are very important to Star Wars and the original trilogy. I could see it totally being something like that story-wise, but like on a bigger scale, when you take a step back, I totally see what they're doing if we're going back to these original trilogy spots. Like you said, that nostalgia bait almost of like, okay, that's going to get people in the theaters, right? Like that's
Right.
going to get people that maybe felt a little burnt out on Star Wars, kind of like, hey, yeah, this is a celebration of Star Wars. This isn't meant to push Star Wars necessarily forward into the future like Starfighter is, I think. And that's what makes Starfighter so exciting on its own, of like, man, that's something brand new in the Star Wars universe with brand new characters, and that's why I can't wait for that. I think what the Mandalorian and Grogu is trying to do is like, hey, remember what you love about Star Wars? This is it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we are like wrapping up 50 years of Star Wars, you know? And that's a huge deal. And Starfighter will be the 50th anniversary, and I really think it's going to kind of signify a new era for Star Wars. This could be a great send-off love letter to the first 50 years, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I do think, you know, we'll get plenty of new story, characters, locations, and stuff like that. Like I do want new things to happen to the characters that we love in Din and Grogu and all of that kind of stuff. But like the show has always been a way to revisit, add more context to enhance in ways the things that we already love and have experienced. And if they can do that in the movie, especially, you know, getting ready for, like you said, Starfighter, which is a brand new era, you know, blank slate. You know, I think that's a good thing.
I do too. I love how you frame that, of like, maybe it's like a cap on the last 50 years and Starfighter is the brand new opening for the next 50 years. Like that is, that someone needs to get you in Lucasfilm marketing. That's really good. That's a good way to frame it and think about this, of like, okay, maybe the nostalgia thing's not your thing, but it's more about like, again, just celebrating what we love about Star Wars before the brand new comes. And yeah, that's exciting. So if it's Hoth, who knows what it could be, but they're on Hoth for a reason. Those AT-ATs, AT-ATs, whatever you want to call them, are marching up the side of the mountain for a reason. What's at the top of the mountain? Why do you need that many AT-ATs at the top of a mountain?
Right. It's like more than they had for the original assault on Echo Base, I think, because they had 5, right? And I think we've seen more than that. I don't know. I can't keep track, but
that's interesting. It's just interesting. I think I don't know. I think it's information, and I think it's to either a super weapon or a fleet, something like the Katana fleet from the Thrawn trilogy. But again, we'll know a little bit more when we actually get a full-length trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu and get an idea of the story beats and all of that. What I do want to talk about a little bit before we talk a little bit more about this is actually
comments about Ilum.
That's a pretty good comment.
I was looking at that.
So okay,
that is kind of the other legacy location that, you know, is an ice planet, has significance to the Force, the overall events of the franchise.
Here's the thing about Ilum. We already see it being worked on as Starkiller Base in the Jedi Fallen Order games. So, I mean, if it is Ilum, Ilum is the place that Jedi would go to basically get their kyber crystals to build their lightsabers.
Right.
And the Empire obviously took it over. Seemed like they had plans for Starkiller Base way in advance of First Order, started on that trench, I think
it was going to be like the next iteration of the Death Star. Like the Death Star was the proof of concept. Mark II is going to be Starkiller Base kind of deal. But, you know, maybe all of this could be in connection to the development of Starkiller Base. You know, it could be Again, I kind of I still go back to Sigourney Weaver being Sigourney for whoever was commenting about how I say her name. I still think her character is going to be maybe an in for the early resistance, and maybe she knows something and she can't use official New Republic troops to go investigate or whatever, but she gets Din too. And it's the rumblings of the First Order Starkiller Base being constructed. So that is a way that Ilum could be, the snow planet, and I like how that ties this stuff into the sequel trilogy, because that direction of connective tissue is still something I want more of. There's kind of like a 30-year, like 25-year gap or so right now that we're just kind of wondering about. So,
and like when they first were talking about what the Mandalorian was and what it was going to do, Jon Favreau was talking a lot about how it was going to set up the origins of the First Order. And we've seen hints of that, especially in season 3 of The Mandalorian, that we're about to start covering on our Mandalorian rewatch coming up with season 3. But we haven't seen like overt hints. This would be a major overt hint if it's Ilum, because Ilum is Starkiller Base. They haven't confirmed that, but it's been pretty much confirmed, because it's in the center of the planet is a giant kyber crystal.
Yeah, I'm like, that's the only planet I think that we know that the strongest stars have hearts of kyber, but in terms of cold planets, I think Ilum's pretty much the only one we know of. But I don't know. That's an interesting way that could go if it's not Hoth. I'm not sure if Tauntauns are native anywhere other than Hoth, but
they could, it's,
It's also a Budweiser ad parody, and they needed some horse analogs in the Star Wars universe that could be on a cold planet. So that also could be why they're Tauntauns.
But that's no fun.
No, it's got to be.
That gives us no reason to talk.
We got to have the canon speculation of what it means.
Exactly. Yeah, I like the idea that it could be Ilum. That is also very, very intriguing. That would be interesting, because what we do know of Thrawn is he is not a proponent of Death Star technology or is a believer in any of that. So that would
he thought that the Empire should have just kept building Star Destroyers. Like, that's going to be the secret to. And if you look at the Final Order, that may have been the right plan all along. Come. The Rise of Skywalker. Like, he may have kind of had a point there. But
only if they could have just taken out of atmosphere. They were just stuck the whole time. No, but yeah, it is interesting. Now I've got my head turning towards if it's Ilum or not, that ice planet. Again, if you're just now joining us, we are aware that this is just a silly TV spot, and it's meant to make you happy and get a general audience excited for The Mandalorian and Grogu.
But speculating irresponsibly is what makes us happy and gets us excited for The Mandalorian and Grogu. So that's what we're doing.
That's right.
Well, okay. I mean, do you have any concluding thoughts? I think we've talked a lot about what the 30-second spot could mean.
That's not even in the movie.
That's
no, I think so maybe this is a good transition of I think we've exhausted all we can of speculation based on all the information when you put all the clues together, what it could be, before we ever get a story trailer. But maybe we need to transition and talk about, when do we think we're getting that trailer? When do we think we're going to actually know anything about this movie? Is it going to be a lot later than what we're anticipating or what we're used to with Star Wars?
So one possibility that I think we would be amiss not to float out is that we've gotten the main trailer that we're going to get. I think we'll get something I just want to go on record. I think we'll get something else that has a little more detail and is a little stickier.
I just want to see a villain.
Right. I think the general audience is much more aware of the movie coming out now after the Super Bowl, after that ad. So, I just want to float it out there that we may only get, another couple TV spots or something like that. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we will get another trailer. We need to kind of readjust our expectations, though, because this is we keep trying to use the blueprint of what they've done for, Solo and stuff like that in terms of timelines. This really is a new quantity. It's a property that's going from TV into film. There's a really weird mixed awareness of The Mandalorian right now. I think the general audience is super aware of who Grogu is and loves Grogu and all that kind of stuff, but just, may need to know that you can go see him on the big screen. I don't know. But so I just think we need to like kind of readjust our expectations and realize that this is a new thing. There's really not a template for how this should go timeline wise. I think it could be maybe late February, early March.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking the exact same thing.
I don't really have any. It's not like based on anything. It's just kind of my gut. But that would give this splash a month to kind of build momentum. People talk about the, everything happening around the water cooler that goes on for a little bit of a, it kind of builds momentum. Then when everyone's already kind of aware, you hit them with the really hooky, detail-filled trailer. So maybe later February, early March.
I'm kind of thinking early March for some reason. I'm kind of thinking like maybe that first week. It's just a vibe right now.
Yeah.
Could be totally off. But I think you're right. I think this is more designed to just get in the public conscious. We're going back to the movie theaters for Star Wars in May. So get ready for that, number one. And part of me wonders too, and again, I don't, as much as we like to pretend we know anything about marketing, we don't when it comes to marketing movies. We don't know anything about that. So
I've worked in some corporate marketing departments that has nothing to do with marketing
with
a feature film. Yeah, we're completely armchair quarterbacking here.
Exactly. So part of me wonders if they're trying a kind of a newer strategy of like, instead of this steady, here is something, and then months and months of nothing, and then here's another thing, and then a couple months of nothing, and then here's some TV spots right before the week of, and boom, we get the movie.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it's going to be more of an avalanche of Mandalorian and Grogu at the right time. Right, to me, anytime, right now is the right time for me, but that's because we are a podcast called Children of the Watch. We literally started this podcast as the Mandalorian Watch. We love the Mandalorian. It's everything to us. So we want more. We need more because that's who we are. But for a general audience, if they played a full-length trailer tonight with all the other different trailers that we have, one ear out the other. It's going to get overshadowed by the halftime show, by any other funny commercial, by any other trailer that's out there, Hail Mary, Toy Story 5, all these different things, Super Mario. There's all these other trailers that it would have to compete with. Yeah. Why not wait until it's your day? Nothing else is coming out. This is all about Star Wars today. It's not about the Super Bowl. It's about Star Wars. And you can kind of pick and choose how to deliver that trailer and get all of the attention that you want. I think that's their strategy. And I think maybe it's more of a strategy of like, hey, we're going to overwhelm you in April and May. And it's just going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu. Grogu is going to be everywhere. He's going to be on every cereal box. He's going to be on every commercial. He's going to be poking his head at whatever sporting event's on, and he's going to be popping out of things. It's going to be Grogu everywhere. And I think they're kind of saving it for that.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. So I guess kind of putting a bow on it. This was a fun spot. I think that there is more in store for us. And I think that, we'll just keep being excited to see anything new that comes out. That's pretty much it.
To
add?
we do need to tell people that we will be next week. So this is Sunday, February 8th. So this is this week, right?
Yeah.
The start of this week. Next week, we're starting the Mandalorian rewatch back up with chapter 17 and 18 together. The first two episodes of season 3, we're going to be breaking that down. And then every week, we're going to have a brand new episode breaking down an episode of season 3. And then we will end literally the week before Maul Shadow Lord comes out.
Yep.
And then we're going to be talking about Maul Shadow Lord, and then we'll be right back in Mandalorian and Grogu once that's over.
Yeah.
And so our Maul Shadow Lord logo, I'm not going to lie.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Shout out Derry.
Shout out Derry.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. So super excited about that. Can't wait to get into Mandalorian season 3. I think it's actually going to have, we're going to have so much room for speculation and stuff, particularly when it comes to what affects the movie. Because, there's so many threads in there to follow.
I do have to interrupt and say, it's totally possible we get a full-length trailer tomorrow morning on Good Morning America. That is totally possible.
It's they've done that, haven't they done that before? Yes, that rhythm
they did
is
that with
feeling,
Solo. So
okay.
they did a TV spot, but it's not like a silly one. It was like, hey, the trailer's coming tomorrow, and then on Good Morning America they premiered the entire trailer. That could totally happen tomorrow. Just so you know. And
we'll make sure we get on mic at some point to break all that down if it does. Cool. Thank you guys all so much for taking a moment out of your Super Bowl watching or whatever it is to speculate on some Mandalorian and Grogu with us. Hope y'all all have a great rest of your week. If you like what we do and you want to help support us, and also if you want some more bonus content from us, if you want even more episodes and things like that we do, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MandalorianWatch. For just $2, you get access to all that bonus content and an amazing community. And I think times like this, nights like this, it's really fun to be in the Discord and seeing what everybody's saying and all that kind of stuff. So check that out. Make sure you listen to the Mandalorian rewatch as we get back into that, and then Maul Shadow Lord, and of course anything Mandalorian and Grogu related along the way. But until then, keep the watch.